So good afternoon, friends. Hope you all had your lunch. So this so welcome to this GP5 session, unlocking the benefits of insurance empanelment. Prakash. Madan.
A very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for making it to this important session on insurance. So, without further ado, we'll start off the session. I request our incoming president, Dr. Nirmal Frederick, to start the session by giving us a few ideas about what the session is about, what the committee is about, and how we plan to go ahead. Nirmal, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Madan. So friends, so those who are in practice, so we are in practice and we know the scenario is quite challenging as far as this insurance domain is concerned. And we received a lot of feedback from members that TNOA has to take up this initiative beyond conducting academics and scientific sessions. So this was the demand from our members, and based on that, we have got this session. So we have wonderful speakers with us representing the General Insurance Council. We have the Health Committee Chairman, Dr. S. Prakash. Welcome, Dr. Prakash, for our session. Thank you for joining us. And we also have Mr. Anuj, thank you, Anuj, who's representing MediAssist, one of the main TPAs. So we all know TPA challenges exist on a day-to-day basis. So Anuj will be addressing some of those concerns. And we also have Major Hari Krishna, who's one of us, our fraternity members, has come all the way from Hyderabad to join us and tell us how we can reduce the challenges with reference to billing and few other aspects of this health insurance. So maybe in this session we have a lot of time for questions. So at the end of these talks, we'll have some interactive sessions and really wish we can take this initiative forward in the next year to solve many of our problems. So let me brief you about this initiative. This is one of the member-friendly initiative we are planning for 23-24, TNOA Insurance Advisory Committee. So as the name indicates, this is advisory role. We may not be able to help you with the day-to-day challenges, but we can really help our members to understand what exactly health insurance is, how it works, so how we can improve the infrastructure as well as understanding of this sector. And there are day-to-day issues and challenges, how we can train your employees to sort out these challenges within our hospitals. And if some of the challenges are not really solved at your hospital level, how TNOA with this advisory committee can help you tackle that. And we also want to take the initiative to our other stakeholders, particularly the TPAs, insurance companies, and IRDA in that order, and also seek their help to reaching out to them for the particular issues affecting the eye care domain. So we have separate challenges. We have eye care domain, as you know, majority are daycare centers, small centers, either single doctor run or small group practices. And of course, there are chains as well as large corporate and NGO hospitals. So each one has different challenges. So we are planning to address most of this. So the objectives would be to advocate for fair and transparent insurance practices to benefit both patient and eye care providers. It's not only for us. Our patients also need a lot of clarity because they are with us only for a short time, maybe 4 to 6 hours for a common daycare surgery. But during this 4 to 6 hours, they have to run between the agents, TPAs to solve the problem. So instead of taking eye care as the priority, getting this pre-approval and all these issues have become a challenge. So we want our patient and the attenders to focus on eye care to safely deliver the care. Second thing is guidance and support to member eye hospitals in navigating the insurance-related matters, and also enhance the understanding of insurance policies, reimbursement procedures. So insurance domain as such is new to us, and their policies, sublimits, copay, deductibles are language we don't learn at medical school, leave alone the postgraduate level. So there comes the understanding issue. So we have to understand how we can work with them and see whether we can sort out these problems. And we also want to inform our other stakeholders, particularly TPAs and insurance companies. There are problems peculiar to eye care industry. Please understand us, right? So this is a two-way interactive sessions. We want to work with all these stakeholders to provide the best quality of eye care to our patients and also sustain our practices. So this is the important objective of this advisory committee. So roles and responsibility, all those things, once we initiate the initiative, will be guide our members. A white paper on this will be circulated to all our members soon, and the methodology and functioning, how we can reach out to this committee. And we also have some plans to train your insurance desk and administrative staff. Hopefully that follows soon. And so MediAssist have given a word that they will support us in this initiative. I've also had a word with the TPA committee's chairman, Dr. Nayan Shah. So he will also be talking to us. I've also escalated this matter with the GIC. Dr. Prakash is here as a representative to assure us that he will take this up with the IRDA to solve some of our major issues. So with these opening remarks, I welcome all of you for this session. Please feel free to raise your questions so that some of them can be addressed during this session. And later on, we can take up one by one initiative as we work through this year 23-24. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hand over the proceedings to Dr. Madan to take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for setting the tone for this particular meeting. So next, I'd like to invite Dr. Prakash from GIC to deliver his keynote address on challenges in insurance today.
A very good afternoon to all the respective audience here and my professional colleagues. I'm one of the odd man out. I'm a general surgeon in a forum of ophthalmologists, and I just want to take few minutes in addressing this gathering, but maybe larger time to answering your queries. I know you have a lot of fundamental queries on the functioning of insurance. I'm here to take your queries, as Dr. Nirmal was pointing out. Before that, I just want to tell you one thing. As I came to this conference, as I was traveling, there were some young ophthalmologists who traveled with me in the same vehicle. I was asking them what is happening, and what is it about the conference. They briefed me. They said that, sir, this is an extensive conference. There's a lot of opportunity to learn. That ophthalmology is growing from conjunctiva to optic now. They have been taking me deep inside the eye, telling me about a lot of subspecialties. Cataract, is it a cataract? I said, only cataract. As a general surgeon, most of the, and particularly from insurance, ophthalm means we think cataract. When I asked them cataract, they said, yes, sir, there's a lot of evolution. From what your days you would have seen ICCE or ECCE. Now it is FACO, FEMTO. There are a lot of advancements from foldable lens to rigid lens to foldable silicon. Then there's hydrophobic, then hydrophilic, then monofocal, multifocal. Then they said, EDOF, trifocal. They have been asking, so they have been talking passionately about the evolution and advancements happening. But my dear friends, I will stop here. I just asked them one question. What is the cost difference? What is the cost difference between what you have been talking about, FACO and FEMTO? what is the cost difference between a silicon foldable lens and a extended depth of focus. They just stopped. There was no answer. They are fundamentally not aware of what is the cost because they are young budding surgeons. Their focus is on getting hands-on training. Am I going to spend my time in the OPD or am I going to have a lot of hands-on experience? My focus is on gaining knowledge. This is one segment of ophthalmologist. At the other extreme end, there are people who have already seen profit in establishing ophthalmology units and they're trying to scale up and they want to be present pan-India. A large majority of my friends are in the in-between segment where they have done their qualification, they have gained their expertise, maybe for 10 years, and now they are hands full. They want to have their own center, but they are hesitant to invest on, oh, this is a retinal machine, sir, that is a laser, oh, this is femto, oh, I cannot invest. Will I get my return on that investment? That is where they are stuck. A majority of our colleagues are now stuck on the 10 plus years of my learning, the 10 plus years of my experience. Now when I want to reap the fruits, somebody from insurance calls me, asks me something. Before all these days, this man was processing motor insurance and fire insurance and property insurance. Now he is having the paper with a health insurance. He doesn't know where is retina and where is ureter. And he is asking me questions. So this is the problem. So my dear friends, what we are going to discuss is something not we have been taught in our medical college days, but something which is very vital and very informative, very important. I should thank Dr. Nirmal Frederick for introducing this topic. Henceforth, when there is a topic on this, I should see the hall overwhelmingly full because all other things you can see from the net, you can surf and you can learn. But these things, there are a lot of lacunae in our understanding, and these things actually in a forum like this, I wish we get ourselves enlightened. Because my dear friends, I'll tell you, a doctor is totally unaware of the billing procedure happening in the front office of the hospital. And the billing person has no oversight of what type of procedure is being done. And now these people are communicating with the insurance company. There are a lot of ifs and buts in our mind, and there are a lot of phrases and terminologies like copay, sublimit, waiting period. Usually you should understand one thing, health insurance is a concept where they collect from many and they pay for few. So before collecting from many, they do a assessment of the incidence rate. And then they say that, oh, cardiac diseases, okay, urology diseases, okay, fractures, trauma, so oncology, everywhere there is an incidence rate. So they collect from 100, they pay for 10 or 12. But when it comes to ophthalmology, they collect from 100 and they almost pay for majority of people. Because in the life cycle of a customer in a company for 10 years or 20 years, almost invariably there is a cataract claim. And when we ask our people, have you taken any claim? You are with us for 15 years, have you taken any claim? He will say, no, sir, nothing. Just cataract, sir. Otherwise, no claim. So he also looks at cataract as a small expense. But today for the insurance companies, if there is no cap, cataract surgeries are being done for 5,000 to 1.5 lakhs. And what is the cost? What is the standardization of cost on these procedures? We have to frame. That's what, Dr. Nirmal, as he was talking, we have to categorize the infrastructure, expertise, and facilities of the hospitals in India. And we have to frame standard cost. So this will clear all the myths in the minds of insurers. And it will be very easy when the patient comes. And it will be very easy for them also to calculate, okay, when I am taking this patient, in the course of 10 years, 15 years, what are the likelihood of them coming for a cataract and how much I have to pay? So I can calculate the premium based on my actuarial work. But this is not happening. So I just want to stop here. I want to say that we cannot shake hands with clenched fist. We have to open our hands. What is opening our hands is enhancing our knowledge and understanding of how insurance concept works and having a standard tariff. And some common, SOPs. so that insurance is aware of how ophthalmology related claims can come into practice. Because in ophthalmology, majority we pay for cataract. There are other things, sometimes very difficult to prove. The insurance works on proof of a disease. Although there is a severe osteoarthritis with a deformity, still we ask for an MRI or an X-ray. Obviously, clinically, you may see the deformity. You may want to do a TKR. But why X-ray or MRI? Because the insurance fellow is sitting in a remote place. He wants some evidence. In the same way, there are a lot of questions from my ophthalmology colleagues. Why procedure X, Y, Z, posterior segment, this surgery, that is not covered in insurance? Why do you don't pay for LASIK laser? So many questions are asked. So my answer is, if there is a proper understanding across the table, if there is a proper price tariff fixation, then I think everything should fall in line. Can I stop here and start taking queries? So I shall come there and we can open the forum for discussion. I appreciate your patient listening and I look forward to hearing your queries. Thank you all, my dear friends.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prakash. So we have two more talks by Dr. Hari Krishnan, who will be talking to us about challenges in cashless process from the provider hospital perspective and what could be the possible solutions, and followed by insurer's perspective from Mr. Anuj. So after that, we'll open the floor for discussion.
Yes. Very good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Hari Krishnan. I am from Hyderabad. I entered into this, a small field of insurance when I started my own practice around 3 to 4 years back. That's the time I started reading about it, and reading about it. And I'll tell you one small reason. Whenever we get an equipment, we get an instruction manual which is this thick. We never read it. Health insurance is a field in which you will be able to reap maximum benefits the moment you go through the agreements, you do it yourself at least once or twice. You should do it by yourself. And as Dr. Prakash has said already, I would like to add on to that in last 10 years, the amount of clinical advancements which have happened in ophthalmology will be far less than if you compare with the changes and developments happening in the financial sector and the way things have changed in the financial sector. So like corporate chains and new startups, health aggregators, there's a lot of them. So we cannot, put our head into the sand and pretend to be blind. So these are very common points which the hospital face. This is like day to day, these things are not exhaustive. So first, I'll come to turnaround time for cataract. One of the biggest issues that we face is the turnaround time for cataract. By the time the insurance approval comes, the surgery is over. Even before our surgical time and the patient shifting and everything time, including the documentation, is much shorter than the health insurance's processing time. Now, we should give some and take some here. We should give them some leeway that health insurance is working for a multi-specialty setup. They have to cater for all specialties. That's how the infrastructure is built. How we can tackle them is, we already have, most of the hospital has got established package rates. In many situations, if you are sticking to the packages, few companies have already started giving us the initial approval outrightly as the final amount. Right, recently we had a case with Dr. Madan Gopal also. So, if you are sticking to the packages and don't deviate from the agreement, the approvals and all payments generally come fast. They come fast enough, that is practically possible from their side. Now, from our side, what we can do is, we need to have a clear-cut packages. There are very many hospitals which has got ambiguous packages with insurance companies. That needs to be straightened out. So for that, you will have to speak to the insurance company individually, go into your packages, read. Once you read that, you yourself will be able to understand that this package doesn't make sense. How can I put this lens and that lens? How can I change? Now, in that context, I'll come to the next one. Scope for upgradation implant. In ophthalmology, the scope for upgradation is we have monofocal Appasamy lens, trifocal panoptics. The range is too large. It's just like buying a car. It's like, you know how to drive? Good. You can buy from Maruti to Mercedes. Similarly, we always frequently get a question from the insurance company that, please give us the indication for using multifocal lens in this patient. So my standard reply to that kind of a query used to be, after examination, patient has been found to be suitable for all the kind of implants. And the patient has chosen for the particular implant, you are requested to ascertain from the patient for his choice. See, in our specialty, the implant choice is largely dependent on the patient choice. So whatever packages we have signed and agreed with the insurance company should essentially reflect the scope for upgradation. That means the package should specify the value of the implants that we are going to use, which type of implant we are using, so that it becomes easier for us. If the patient asks for a higher implant, we know what is the difference. If we have an ambiguous package where it just says PCIOL, that doesn't make sense. If it says PCIOL up to a cost of so-and-so or so-and-so model, that makes sense. So from there, whatever is the upgradation, we can quantify the upgradation. So the only thing is, even if you want to upgrade, what I would say is, you should be able to give a mathematical justification, not a clinical justification. Because health insurance people don't understand clinical. They are on finance, calculations, documents. So we should be able to give a clear-cut accounting way that, okay, in this package, this 7,000 worth of implant, we are putting an implant which is this cost, this is the difference amount that we are collecting. So that kind of a justification, if you are able to provide in your billing itself, you will be able to do it. Next is about documentation workload. See, gone are the days when we go to the bank, fill up the withdrawal slip, manually take the money out, count it, put in the envelope. Nowadays it's all GPay. So as the time is improving, we need to migrate to electronic medical records, make the form filling more smoother, more faster. In my own hospital, generation of a pre-authorization form takes 3 minutes max. And generation of the final approval, final bill and discharge, again 3 minutes. Claim forms are pre-filled in Adobe Acrobat. The moment the surgery is over, within half an hour, the entire signed stamped thing is uploaded. The moment final approval is come, within 2 minutes, the final claim is done. Before the end of the day, that is 8 o'clock in the evening, whatever claims you have done that day, all the envelopes are filled, labeled for the speed post next day. So this documentation, we always have that inhibition for documentation. The similar inhibition we see when we ask people to adopt EMRs, electronic medical records. There is an inhibition, let's accept it. So the similar kind of inhibition is there for the documentation also. Now, there are many things that we need to smoothen it out with insurance companies at different levels that people who are at the policy making level can discuss and shorten the things, so make the workload easier for us. But there are standardized formats, easier methods to do it. So if you adopt them, we will be able to do the insurance process much faster. Next is payment delays. Payment delays has been a regular issue for providers, for hospitals, that we get the payment late. We do a surgery tomorrow, we get the payment after 2 to 3 months. So this is a very regular issues. Understand, the insurance payment comes from the insurance company and not the TPA. And let me ask you, how many of you follow it up exactly after 30 days of expiry? See, so the moment, at 30 days, if you follow it up, you will tend to get the payment. If you do, once that window is over, then starts the blame game. We didn't send the document, we didn't receive this document from you, TPA didn't send there, insurance company didn't receive it. So then the blame game starts. At 30 days, within 30 days, they have that window to do the entire fact-finding mission. So be sure, track. In my hospital, we have a Google workflow sheet which automatically picks up the data from the emails and makes into a chart which shows the time lapse with each claim. So these kind of systems we need to put in place. We need to put these kind of analytics. We have analytics for lot of clinical aspects. We have glaucoma progression analysis. We should have a claim progression analysis also. Next is lack of Spock. Spock is somebody whom we call as single point of contact, single person of contact, or single point of contact. So now one of the beautiful things, this I would like to put to Mr. Anuj as a feedback. Anuj sir, one feedback is that, see, like in Star Health, whenever we get an approval, in that initial approval letter, in the end, there will be a name and a contact number, which is the person who's your hospital's Spock. So that is one practice which I have seen in Star Health, and which I would like it to be implemented in all the other insurances, which will be going to be very helpful for the hospital, because we know directly whom to ring up. Otherwise, what happens is, in between the busy practice, we are press 1 for English, press 2 for Hindi, press 3 for Telugu. So we don't want that, right? We need a hotline. We need a hotline where we can just call up and say. So the last and one of the biggest sore point among a lot of doctors is empanelments. Now, empanelments, I've been working with a lot of hospitals, speaking to them, taking feedbacks. One frequent thing is, there is no centralized process for empanelments with a lot of insurance companies. What happens is, it's a volatile field. Today, the particular individual is working in this company. Tomorrow, he jumps to something else. We have been sending the emails to this person. His email ID is closed. Next. So, the tracking is not happening effectively. Now, let me tell you that we are at mistake to some part here, that we ourselves want to get things done at a faster speed. Okay, so instead of helping the system improve, what we are doing is we are asking the services of a middleman or somebody who is promising you the sky and taking money even skyer. So let's us together report any such incidents and help the entire system work more efficiently. So the insurance companies need to streamline the empanelment process, and we need to also ensure that we don't fall prey to the middleman agents. So I close it here. I think the discussion we will take it in the answer. So.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure most of us in this audience have learned something or the other directly and indirectly from Hari Krishnan, sir. So we really thank him for that and for taking time out to be with us here. So next, I'd like, we've heard about the challenges faced by providers, but there's always the other side of the coin. So we'd like to know what the challenges are when it comes to the TPAs and insurance companies. Of course, Prakash sir was talking to us about it. So we'd like to hear from Mr. Anuj Jindal of MediAssist about what are the peculiar problems they face when it comes to eye care providers. Mr. Anuj.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good afternoon. I head the network for MediAssist. So if you have any problems, you should catch me. If your colleagues have a problem around, I'm available. It's a very interesting topic, and like Dr. Prakash mentioned, ideally this room should have been filled. We should have lacked the chairs, in fact, because I think what we miss out on is a practice is a business as well, right? And in this half an hour, 45 minutes kind of a time, we're discussing the business aspect of it. You'll ask me why it is important. I'll give you some statistics. About 5 years back, when and I'm a healthcare guy, I've run hospitals in the past. But 5 years back, when I got into the claims industry, India's health insurance used to be about $5 billion premium. Today it is double that size. Okay, during the same time period, healthcare has grown by only 20-25%. Whereas this is an industry that has doubled. For some of the hospitals, today insurance contribution is as high as 60%, 70% of their top lines. Sorry? 90 also, yes, too many, yes. Ask Cloud9s and motherhoods of the world, because corporate insurance covers a lot of maternity, right? So we're very heavy on their top lines. Now, Dr. Prakash made a very interesting observation that in insurance, we collect from many and we pay for few. I'll add another dimension to that. We collect in advance because the premium is paid at the starting of the year. And then from that pool, we pay for the entire year. That means, unlike a scenario in healthcare where we were getting paid by the patients at the time of hospitalization, now they are in a way prepaying via their premiums. And the challenge it presents for healthcare is that now we are talking to a customer who has already pre-decided what is that they're going to pay for their healthcare. And also we're dealing with not a patient right now who is stressed. We're dealing with an insurer who's a calculated person, who's carrying Excel sheets and everything else. We hate such people, right? It's easy to deal with patients. They're stressed. We could charge them anything we want. But here is a person who's talking about inflation management, who's talking about packages. Patients never ask those kind of questions. Patients never had a contract with us. We charge them whatever we charge, and we gave discounts to whomever we wanted to. But now here is a person who's who's talking about standardization, who's asking us questions. Why have you done this procedure? Patients never ask this kind of questions. So we're living in very different times, and I think from business perspective, hospitals should wake up to this new reality. I wanted to sort of cover about 6-7 points, but I got a few points from Hari as well. So I'll prioritize some of Hari's point because he is a friend. He should not feel offended that I did not listen to his session. So I'll prioritize this as well. But before I start, I wanted to also make one acknowledgement that it's not that everything is wrong with healthcare. There is also a challenge on the insurance side because the industry has grown very fast. Industry has grown extremely fast. And that is why there are certain things that work very well. There are things that are still evolving for us. So I think this is a journey which we need to traverse together. I think rather than pointing fingers at each other, we need to shake hands and we need to figure out how we are able to solve each other's problems. So while I will mention a few problems, I am open to suggestions on how hospitals and healthcare think about solving those. So I'll pick the points that Hari had mentioned, and then I will pick up mine. I have about 5.5 minutes. So first one was on TAT. So we would have performed the surgery, approval has not come. Now one of the key reasons for that is there is no standard practice of how we bill to the insurer, right? So most people, when they send the bill, they say sometimes the package includes the lens, sometimes package doesn't include the lens, right? Sometimes rather than mentioning the type of the lens, our billing friends are sending us the brands that they are billing, right? So think about it. The person on the other side may not be well aware of that information. So I think as an industry, at a transaction level, we need to arrive at a common standard. And if it is inclusive, we should say it inclusive. If it is not inclusive, we should mention it out. But right now, because of lack of standardization, everyone is following whatever they want to follow. And consequently, while you would have performed the surgery, the billing guys and the insurance guys are fighting among themselves to get that clarity, right? So that is important. And while I'm at that point, I will also mention about automation, because I think one of the interesting thing about this industry is that volume-wise, we shake hands more often with ophthalmologists than with any other specialty because of the very large number of cataract surgeries in this country. And because of the nature of the procedure, it is primed to automation. So we use an application called as IHX. It is free for hospitals. If you're using it, it has a facility that if you just use some drop downs and you say, I'm performing cataract for a left eye, right eye, I'm using this package, that package, and this is the kind of lens I'm using, you get the approval instantaneously, there and then itself. So you can get the approval even before the patient has landed up in your OT. Right? You're not dependent on the insurance company thing. It's the software that is doing it for you. But all that it requires is a little bit of an effort on your end to put the right entries into the system. The other point Dr. Hari mentioned, and something which is very close to my heart, is on the payment delays. I've been an entrepreneur before I joined MediAssist, and most of us who run hospitals are entrepreneurs, and I value cash flow. Right? I think when we render our service, we assume that we will get paid. But given that it is a credit sale that we have done, right? It has its own dynamics. So somewhere I need to chase the buyer or the payer in this particular case, which means that you need to have systems, like Hari mentioned, there is a method that he tracks the time it is taking for getting the payments. But it is important that you use the right kind of softwares, you use the right kind of process, you use the right kind of people in your centers who can then follow up for payments. And you keep track of, like one of the challenges that I have seen and which are very dumb, okay? So somebody has sent the document without any acknowledgement in it. So I have no way to track that the medical record of the bill that has been sent is for which claim ID. And therefore it becomes an orphan document for me. There is no way I can pay. So if someone has kept the record of the courier, then there is a method for me to track that courier, open up the envelope again, or open up the documents, and then figure out, okay, this was from this hospital, and then we can together figure out it was against which claim, because it normally came without the acknowledgement letter. So I think there are certain process improvements we need to do when we are dealing with payments. I think it is not an issue of intent that we don't want to pay. In fact, one of the fights I have with insurers is insurer telling me, you pay on the day of discharge. You pay within 2 days of the date of discharge. But my point is, the process is built to establish trust, right? Our job is to make sure that we have all the evidence sorted before we recommend a claim for payment. So I think those processes need to be solved. There is a mention on the SPOC, single point of contact. I think this is again something that industry has not solved for. That is a standardization we need to have on our side. Okay. At MediAssist, we run about 10 branch offices, and most of the engagement happens through those 10 branch offices. People have their phone numbers. Nowadays, my phone number is available to people. So issues, big or small, land up with me as well. We want to be accessible. And going forward, one of the things that we are planning to do is to set up a single email ID on which you could mail the issue. It will create a ticket. So you have a visibility on TAT of how much time we are taking to resolve. You will know who is solving the issue. Because right now, when you send an email, you don't even know who is resolving. Or when you call up 123, you don't know who's picking up the phone. So we will bring that kind of a visibility. Last issue that you mentioned was on empanelments. We're fortunate to have Dr. Prakash here. GI Council is taking a beautiful initiative of probably building India's largest cashless network by setting up a common empanelment window. I think it will do great load of benefit to the industry on the health insurance side as well as on the healthcare side. But I think one of the, and I repeat whenever I am on a stage, that empanelment is still easy. I think what I've found as a challenge with hospital friends is that they're not really ready for what is going to happen after getting empaneled. They don't have the right process, people, etc. to run the process. So yeah, I couldn't take up my points, but I've picked up and answered Hari's point. I hope you're satisfied, Hari, on that. With that, I conclude my session. Thank you.
So thank you, Anuj, for clarifying some of the queries, but still a lot of things unanswered, right? So one thing about the empanelment, that the good news is, so one good thing is we had a National Health Insurance Summit a month back at Coimbatore. An outcome of that, we are following on this, and now General Insurance Council, in coordination with the IRDA, come up with a proposal for having a single empanelment system. I think Dr. Prakash would be the best person to tell us more about this. Over to you, Dr. Prakash.
Thanks, Nirmal. See, actually, there are a lot of unhappiness expressed by doctors. When it comes to empanelment, it is not uniform. So many hospitals, so many insurance companies ask for different documentation. Some of them are asking for money. There is a delay. So sometimes, doctors and hospitals have to go literally big for empanelment. So I want to have a smooth relationship with the hospital, because as insurance companies, we design the product. We distribute it to the market. But when the customer wants to use, they are not coming to us. They are coming to you. And you have no idea about what are the futures, how I designed the product. So there is a huge design to delivery disconnect. This has to be addressed. So unless I address this, I cannot come to you and say that I want to standardize a cost. So in the General Insurance Council, as per the directions of the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, like RBI for banks. So my dear friends, please note that health insurance companies are collecting money from the public. They cannot decide how much to collect for a product. They have to get the approval of regulator. If there is any inconvenience or a hassle created by them, customer has all the rights to go to consumer forum or ombudsman. So it is a well-regulated market. How RBI controls all the banks. Are you worried about having a deposit in any bank? Will the bank close and run away? You are sort of protected because you know that government will not allow that to happen. In the same way, insurance companies cannot collect money and then say that I'm running under a law, so I will close the company. They have to maintain a solvency 1.5 times their assets. So this requires a lot of capital. So the capital comes from different types of funds, national and international. That is the reason why 74% they can invite international funds. So what will happen? When these FDI and domestic funds comes in, what will happen? They will ask the right question to the insurance company. Are you pricing it properly? And the regulator will ask the question. So the insurance companies are answerable to the investors, to the regulators, and if they are listed, they are also answerable to SEBI. In such a regulated market, today that we see a lot of inconveniences when it comes to empanelment. So what we are trying to suggest under the General Insurance Council, there has to be a common platform. Number one, unified empanelment process. If there are 30 plus companies, you don't need to apply 30 different, send 30 different applications. So it has to be a unified empanelment process where through a common digital pathway, you can get empaneled with all the insurance companies, number one. Number two, if there are unforeseen disappointments due to services promises given by the insurance company or services done by our own colleagues. Unfortunately, there are also some fraudsters among hospitals. There are a lot of instances where they do double billing, phantom billing, they claim for things which are not done. Somebody else, X, goes and takes treatment in the place of Y. All these inconvenience we see in the market. So insurance companies are also paranoid about fraud that is happening. So we will have to eliminate fraud. But there are a good number of people. Almost when I see my colleagues, Prakash, if there is a fraud, bloody, you go and find out, man. That is your problem. But I am not intending to do fraud, but I want a cost for my expertise. So this is what precisely to address all these things, a common platform also to express your views. If you are unhappy with an insurance service, you can write to them. And if insurance companies are unhappy with any hospital fraud, they can write to them and they can take a common action on or disciplinary action on any type of errors based on the pattern of error seen. They may suspend, they may depanel the hospital, they may call them as excluded providers, etc., etc. So this is a platform. Third thing is advancements in medicine. Now you are coming up with a lot of evolution, lot of high-end things. There are, in ICU, there is an ECMO. In general surgery, from laparoscopy, they are moving to robotic surgeries. So whether these advancements have to be paid or not, what is the cost? So different companies apply different strategy. And somebody is doing a good job, it is not being recognized today because they are not able to represent. They represent the company A. Company A says good. Company B says, no, I will discount all your things. So there is no uniformity in the understanding of the insurers also. So this platform will achieve uniformity, it should help you to go and represent your problems. Any advancements in your field, anything that has to be covered by insurance, at what cost, all these things can be represented to this platform. And this core committee can also take care of action against fraudulent practices, be it TPA or insurers or hospitals, and also common empanelment. Finally, once we do these things, then we can come to the hospitals and tell us, "Ore boss, we will have to arrive at a common tariff. Okay, let us do it for commonly identified procedures. Then we can go to rarer procedures." So if this is done, instead of telling if this is done, I can say, my dear friends, you can note in this hall, in the days to come, insurance industry, as my colleague Ajay was talking about, insurance industry is growing at a very fast pace. What was around 20,000 crore premium when I joined, I could see that at every year it grows at 20% CAGR. And now it is around 90,000 crore. If it continues to grow at the same 20%, but given the life expectancy, the financial literacy, affordability of the people, and more amount of corporate hospitals, it has to grow more than 20%. Even if it grows at the same 20%, this 90,000 crore, what it is today, close to 11 billion, it has to become around 40 billion. That is 3.2 lakh crore. By 2030, I'm telling you, whether you like or not, you may look at me as a necessary evil. Some of my friends tell me, Arey, you are talking too much, man. But anyway, I have to listen to you, bloody, because otherwise you won't pay me.
I have to cut short you. Because
So,
we have,
it is not
limited
necessary
time.
evil, it is a much required angel. So what I am trying to say, if this 90,000 crore has to become close to 3.5 to 4 lakh crore by end of 2030, you have to be geared up. You have to take a message from this hall. And unless you are geared up, you will be losing. Otherwise, someone else will be, because this growth has to happen. For India, this growth has to happen. So I'll stop here.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Prakash. So I think more than the evil or angel, so we have to work together. And without our services, we are the end providers. Without us, you cannot connect with the patients. So you have to take into account our concerns, our sustainability, more than talking about billions of business. Our concern is not how insurance industry is growing. Our concern is our sustainability first. Only if we are sustainable, we'll be able to service your customers. If that service is inadequate, if that service is not there, your customers are not, right? So unless you sort out these issues, even if it is a growth of 40 billions, that is a dangerous growth, and both are being doctors, we call it as tumors, right? Tumors are not welcome, right? So I request Dr. Madan to take up some more questions. So there are many questions given by the participants. So we have limited time. I'll ask Madan to proceed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So we've listened to the entire gamut of talks, and I believe I will be speaking for most of the audience in this group and for ophthalmologists when I say that we would like to put across two things to the insurance companies. We are a little different when it comes to general practice or general surgery in that manner, because there are just two things. One is that our stay, our procedures, our packages are pretty fixed. There are not too many variables. So the concept of everything is going to get over in a matter of hour or two from the time of admission to discharge. So the process can be simplified a lot more, in the sense that there is a differentiation between an initial and a final approval. Doesn't make sense, because he's not going to stay with us for 2-3 days. There's no escalation in the thing. And when the package, when I decide that this is the lens I'm going to implant, in 99 out of 100 cases, that is the only thing that's going to happen. So one, the concept of initial and final approval doesn't hold much water when it comes to an ophthalmic practice. That is one. And two, insurance companies often quote a cataract supplement, which really makes sense. As Prakash was mentioning, almost 100 people who pay their premiums, 99 people are going to come for cataract. So it definitely makes sense to have a cataract supplement that the providers know and the insurance companies know. The person who doesn't know is the patient. So he says, I have a 5 lakh cover. He imagines that he can do a cataract surgery for 1 or 2 lakhs, but all of us know that that's not practical. So how do we kind of get the consumer to know that this is what is happening and this is your limit? If you have to choose, see, it's in our domain to give him the choices. And if he wants to choose more than that, how do we go about it? So I think these are the two practical points that all of us would like to get answered in this particular forum at least.
Dr. Manugopal, if I want to tell in one line, considering the I'm cognizant of the time, I'll tell you, Dr. Nirmal was also telling me the same thing. The answer to this problem cannot be made in this forum. Throughout the world, insurance companies and hospitals, although industry is growing everywhere, in every developed economy, insurance is growing, but still hospitals and insurance companies, are they happy? Do they have a synergistic relation? The last word is yet to be said. But what Nirmal was also suggesting, why can't we create a core group of ophthalmologists representing all states? We can talk to General Insurance Council. And when it comes to ophthalmology related matters, as Dr. Madhuragopal is pointing out, most of us are looking more into general, medicine, surgery, OG sort of procedures. Ophthalmology, our understanding is less, and we are giving less importance. So if there can be a core committee of specialists and subspecialists in the ophthalmology, if we can create that under General Insurance Council, along with some of the CEOs and committee members of general insurance companies, then probably we can have a roundtable discussion, and we can look into these things, and we can implement it in a way that it sustains and it continues.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So before that, thank you, Dr. Prakash. We have taken your advice, and we have formed an insurance committee headed by Dr. VPS V. Paneerselvam sir. And many of our senior members are part of that committee who are running the hospitals. Dr. DP, Dr. Kumaran, Dr. RD, Bala, and we have legal as well as Lalit, and advisors Hari. So we formed a core group to discuss with the insurance companies and TPAs. So we are taking this initiative forward with your help, and hopefully we'll discuss all these matters in a closed door and see how we can sort out the challenges. First, the small challenges, and then we'll come to the major challenge of fixing the costs. I know there is a scientific costing involved, and we understand it differently. You understand it from the business point of view. We make it from the professional point of view and patient point of view. Somewhere we have to see commonality. So hopefully we'll take this initiative with all your help and support. Since we need to hand over the session to the next group, thank you all of you for joining this insurance sessions. TNOA will be taking your interest first. We will be the voice of our common member. We will be the voice of our practitioners, and we will also be the voice of our patients who are struggling. So that is more important to bring up the quality of care and keep up with the standard of care. So with this, thank you one and all for joining us. I thank Dr. Prakash and Dr. Anuj and Dr. Madanagopal, Dr. Hariharan, Harikrishna for joining us, and also all our insurance committees members for accepting and giving us the time. So a lot of work to do. Stay with us and help us and support us and taking this initiative to its logical conclusion. Thank you so much.
Dr. Prakash, just one question for you. You mentioned sublimits, copay, and one more issue you mentioned. Is anywhere in any insurance policy this is mentioned in block letters? It's always mentioned in the fine print. When you yourself know that this is the biggest challenge that we are going to face, because my trust with my patient is eroded because of these three factors. If you can take a decision to print these in block letters for every insurance policy, it will go a long way for the patient's trust in ophthalmologists and other doctors to not be eroded. Thank you.
Okay. You want me to answer that question? Okay, so in retail policies, if you go and check any of the brochures or the policy wordings, it is mentioned. In fact, cataract is the easiest thing. The starting point for any daycare is cataract. We start from there in any of the policies. Corporate policies also, wherever there is a presentation or a document which is printed, or I mean, cataract limit is the easiest that people can talk about. The key challenge is how the medical part of it sort of works, because there is an entire permutation combination around the lenses that we're going to use, which unfortunately in the contracting is very simply done. So we say, okay, it's only monofocal that we will pay for, but what we treat or what we use is slightly more, what should I say, it depends on the patient, it depends on the preferences of the patient or the advice of the doctor. So I think there's one element of how to reconcile what you are advising versus what is covered by the policy. I think that is the key challenge that we need to solve for. When we were at AIOC, one of the things that I had mentioned there also was that at MediAssist, we are trying to build a counseling tool that whenever a patient is there and you have diagnosed something and you're advising for a procedure, you should be able to use some software application to be able to tell the patient that, okay, this is what your policy is going to pay. So rather than worrying about someone has to read the document, you do a search query and you say, okay, I run an ophthalmic practice and this is what is there in my case. Somebody is a cardiologist, somebody is a gynecologist. So different people have different kind of questions, and everyone have their own challenges, not just ophthalmologists. But one last word from my side, and Dr. Nirbal and I have been talking about one of the key challenges I see on the healthcare side is the lack of talent. Okay, while doctors do the surveys against the policy that we have sold, finally the transactions are happening by the billing folks, and industry doesn't have that kind of a talent. So again, one of the initiatives at our company we're taking is to build the training platform for the billing staff, because while in the hospital everybody else is certified, trained, expertise is there, but these are the people who are dealing with crores and crores of our money without having any insurance qualification. They might be graduates or whatever, but they don't have any insurance background. And the funny thing is, Dr. Prakash is a medico. A lot of medicos move into, or people like me who have worked in hospitals move into insurance side. So healthcare is also a starting point for people to work in the health insurance domain. So if we don't train people on insurance at hospitals, you're getting a lot of illiterates like me coming on the health insurance side. Right? But I'm saying, I mean, I was fortunate to get mentored by right set of people, but we don't have any structured program.
It's right. Some of the doctors here who are yet to choose your specialty, probably I can put forth one suggestion. As doctors, we should start thinking past our job, beyond our specialty, outside the institution. But what we do, we confine ourselves to one specialty, we take that specialty and we deep dive into that. And there are policy makers who don't have a medical background. So people with medical background should please come forward and choose insurance. And other the healthcare technology, so many players in the ecosystem, but we don't see people with medical wisdom. So I think, every one of us are doing a business with a soul, but doctors should also start thinking outside their specialty. That's my advice.
So just like over a period of time, we have learned
we
how
need
to
to
use
close
a
the
debit card
session.
and everything. We should learn how the doctors, we ourselves should not say that it's not my job. We should at least handle these cases, these process at least once or twice or thrice. Then only we'll get to know how to respond to queries, how to handle this entire gamut.
Yeah. Thank you, Hari, and thank you all for joining us. I request the speakers and our insurance committee members to join us for a group photo.